everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Five-1 Speedway show. Hopefully you have managed to see the last episode, which was a very good episode. Unfortunately, it was interrupted by the internet connection, but hopefully part 2 will be along shortly. But tonight, my guest is a legend of the sport in the 70s, so it's way before my time, so us youngsters. But he is a guy who has been on to many, many clubs, including a winning league championship with Reading. Oxford fans would know him inside out. He also managed to ride for a London club, White City, and he has got a host of other stories, I'm sure, to tell us tonight. Please welcome to the show, Dag Lovaas.
Hello.
All good, mate. How you doing?
Yeah. Oh, very well, thank you. Very well. A bit cold in Norway, but that is how it is here.
Yeah, it's still the winter time out there, so get the skis on and away you go.
Yeah.
So how was the pandemic year of 2020 kept you? Has it managed to keep you indoors and all the time, or have you been managed to see family?
Actually, we're very careful, my wife and me, because we don't want to get it in our age. But in Norway, it hasn't been all that bad, actually. They closed down very early, and the government has done a good job, I think. So it's not too bad here, actually. Not too bad at all.
Well, that's good then. That's great. It's great to hear, more than anything, that yourself, your wife, and all your other family are keeping safe and well and healthy. That's the most important thing in these very weird and strange times.
It is very different. It's very different. I just wonder if we're going to get back to normal again, because now, I do at least. I wash hands every day, and I don't touch things, and I'm putting the mask, and I'm keeping the distance, and I think if it when we're back to normal, will it be back to normal? Will we starting shake hands again and have a little cuddle and all that, or are we going to be more wow?
Well, that could be interesting, especially with all the vaccines that are coming out. Might be end up hugging strangers in the street instead of shaking hands, things like that. It could be, the new world could be anything, but fingers crossed. Give it some sort of normality. That's the main thing.
Well, it's so good that they made some vaccines, and in England you're getting a lot of it, I guess. We haven't got so many. So.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, I think I could be wrong, but I think we've got about 3 or 4 different types of vaccines. I think we have over here at the moment, but I could be wrong. I'm not a politician. I don't know science. I don't do anything.
The problem here is that we haven't got enough vaccines yet. We're not in the EU, so we're sort of a bit on our own. So we have to rely on EU countries being kind to us and giving us something.
Well, we're no longer an EU country either. We're now independent.
We're in the same boat now, aren't we?
There we go. We're the newcomers. But we'll push politics to one side for another day, I think, because we're here to talk about Speedway, and especially your own career, because I know a lot of people may not know who you are, especially people around my sort of age and things like that, because obviously you rode way before we were born and things like that, but many of the old-timer fans, especially the Reading and Oxford fans, would remember you quite well. So how did you get started in Speedway then?
Well, you want the long story or the short version?
Whichever version you want to give, mate. I could be here all night if you want me to be here all night.
I tried to make the long version short.
Yep, go
because
for it.
What happened was that really, my father was Norwegian champion back in 1934. Oh. That's a long time ago, yeah. And he was quite old when he was past 40 when I was born. So yeah. Anyway, he took me and my brother to a long track meeting, and I was 4 or 5 years old, and I didn't know what it was. And from us then, we saw only cars puddling around the road and some motorbikes going very, very slow. And we got to this long track meeting, and Five-1, have you heard about him?
No, I haven't, no.
Well, he's very, very famous. Even in England, a lot of people have heard about him. But here he had, I think it was 12 Nordic championship. He was really like Norway's answer to George Best, or
right. Yeah.
Yeah. Just to put it in contest, and he was racing. And to me, I can remember that still now. I can remember that race. Because he was the noise, the smell of the Castrol R, and the speed, and Five-1 was winning all the races, and his bike was very clean for every race. and it was such a big surprise. It was like landing on the moon for me. It was, yeah, it was really made a big impression. And you know how kids are. When I came home, I want to be like Bossy, I want to be like that. And that stuck with me, actually, from I was 5 years old. So when I started school, my books were full of drawings. I didn't listen so much to the teacher, of Speedway bikes and helmets and stuff. And when I was about 10 years, I would think, the teacher told us to write a story of what we wanted to be when we grew up. And I went in with, all the enthusiasm, writing about wanting to be a professional speedway rider in England. That was a big thing. So I wrote the story. And when we got the story back, all the children got the stories back. And I got mine. And it says, do it again, he said. and I was sort of very, what do you mean, he said. He said, you have to write about something you can be, like a car mechanic or something. So I had to write the story all over again. And years later, after I had been in England, I was home for a bit. And I met the teacher, my old teacher. He was an old man then. I met him on the street, and he had recognized me from the newspaper and stuff. And he stopped me and he said, "You're Dag, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah. I still have a bad conscience for telling you to write that story again. I remember it so well," he said. But we were a bit fed up with your books that was full of drawings of speedway bikes and stuff. So he actually told me he had a bad conscience for doing that. And I had forgotten all about it. But, good story.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, teachers being teachers, not always thinking, kids, speedway is a proper sport. They don't think it's professional sport, and things like that. I remember when I was a kid, I used to dream of being a speedway rider and things like that. And a lot of my stuff, I know when I did my sports degree later on in my teens and just before I hit my 20s, I compared everything to speedway. And I got top marks and everything because none of the teachers understood what I was doing. So that was kind of cool. That's kind of little thing that I have as well, which is good. But yeah, I mean, it's great to hear that going to one meeting managed to give that spark off to you to want to ride speedway. Did you just ride speedway then, or did you have a go at the grass track and the long track scene in your career?
A long track as well, a little bit, but not much, because I started to saving up as a kid to get something with the engine that I could ride around in the garden. And I got hold of something called the Cycle Master, which was I had picked up what do you call it, bottles and stuff on the street. And you give it to the shop and you get some money. And in the end, I had 25 kroner. And at this farm, I found this. I was told that they had a Cycle Master. And the Cycle Master is very special because you have a wheel, and in that wheel it's an engine and petrol tank and everything. It was 32 cc, so it's very small, but it will fit any push bike. And and I think the lady that had this thing, she felt sorry for me because I only had 25 kroner and I wanted it so much. So we let me have it for 25 kroner. And I put it in my bike and I started to ride around the cherry tree home, around and round and round and round. So that's how it started, really. And then a bit later on, my brother was 4 years older than me, and he also wanted to ride speedway. And he got a Bultaco 125 from his father, who bought him that. And we went on the fjord, like I told you, the frozen fjord. And we put metal studs in the tires, and we cut them down. We cut them down so to make it as close to dirt as possible, because it was a speedway we wanted to do. So not a very long spikes, but yeah. And we went and drove around, ride around the track. Actually, once, a bit hairy, actually. But you're mad at a certain age, nothing can go wrong. And this was on the fjord, and the fjord has salty water, and the ice on the salty water is not very strong. It is a bit flexible. Okay. So he was practicing on this bike. And he started to get very bumpy into the corner, and we thought that's strange. So we parked the bike and we walked around the track, and we had actually the back wheel had grinded through the ice, so it was water, and so that was a bit scary. So we had to go up and let it freeze off again before we could ride again.
Yeah, you're obviously working it too hard, mate, already. Sort of thing. The ambition and the hunger to go racing and things like that. Going through the ice. I mean, yeah, that's a scary thought in itself. You could have gone through, but there you go. You're kids. You're enjoying yourself. That's the main thing.
Yeah. It was a fabulous time.
Yeah. So then after those sort of times, then obviously with you and your brother, then I assume that you were sort of like racing against. And how did you sort of progress then so you got like your first race and things like that?
What do you mean? Got into UK? You mean what?
No. I mean, as in like your first professional race in Norway before you came over to the UK. Did you manage to get like a license and things like that when you were like 16 then to go racing?
Yeah, the problem was that my brother had bikes. He was 4 years older, and he was doing very well in we called it the lightweight class. He 125 and 250s and stuff.
Okay, yeah.
And my brother was doing very well in the 125 and 250, and he was given an engine from the Suzuki importer, a Suzuki 250, and was doing very well. And then the Suzuki importer, the main man for the Suzuki in Norway, he was in the pits, and I was standing watching, and he said to me, "Oh, you're Ulf's brother, aren't you?" I said, Yes. Well, why not you racing? I was 16 then. Why not you riding? I don't have a bike, I said. Well, if you get a bike, can you get a bike? I will give you an engine, a 100cc Suzuki. That is very good, 17 horsepower. This is very good. So, okay, so I told my brother that, and we sort of rushed home and bought tubes, and I don't know if you can show you the picture.
Yeah. Oh.
I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, yeah, I can see that, yeah.
That is the front wheel is from a sulky, like you horse racing.
Yeah.
That's cool. The front fork is from a moped that I strengthened. I made these things that, like the old jack forks.
Yep.
Like that. And even the petrol tank I made by, what do you call it? I don't know what you call it. I made it. I made everything. Absolutely everything. Except from the 2 wheels.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I won the Norwegian championship in the lightweight on that one when I was 17.
That's cool. That's really cool to see.
So, yeah, and then I got hold of even my 500cc that when I was in 69. I welded the frame because I got hold of an engine. I hadn't the money for buying a proper bike, so we copied my brother. My brother had a brand new Java, so we copied his frame and welded it all together, and got hold of an old Java engine and counter shaft and wheels and stuff, and I raced that and came 4th in the Norwegian championship, I think. Yeah. Yeah, and also use the same bike on long track, just yeah. So it's all it was actually I love those, the feeling you get when you have made the bike yourself about everything, and you don't have the money really, so it makes it more fun when I look back at it. When I think about the new kids, maybe get the brand new bike, brand new leathers, brand new, go on racing. I don't think they get the same feeling when they actually have really worked hard for it. And yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously times have changed a lot since your days, but like you said, that you take pride and joy in what you did, because like you said, you made it all from scratch. Even your junior bike you made from scratch, all the way up until you came before you came to the British League and things like that, you made from scratch. So yeah, everyone takes more pride in it. And obviously, like you said, the kids nowadays sort of take it for granted that they can go to the Speedway shop and buy a frame off there, buy wheels, buy tires, buy everything now, and they don't even have to leave home to go get it now. You can buy it on the internet, and things like that. It's all those sort of little things that you didn't have at your time.
No, it's very different, very different. Mm-hmm. But then, you know, to get into England, that was my big dream. Mm-hmm. And actually, my brother was in '69. He was together with some other Norwegian Speedway riders because he did the 500 then. They mm-hmm. were invited, I think it was by Ian Hoskins, to come, you know Ian Hoskins? And
yeah.
To come over and do some meetings in England. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if it was second halves or whatever it was, but anyway, they came over and did some meetings, and my brother did quite good. Mm-hmm. So he was offered a place in the team for Newcastle. Mm. But my brother said that, you know, I don't want to. I'm more into getting my education done. But he said, I have a very, very keen young brother. He's only done 4 races, 4 meetings, but everybody says he got the talent. Mm. So he would be over the moon, and I think he would have a go. So yeah. So Ian Hoskins was very, very. I think he took a big chance on inviting me to come and race. And I was over the moon, of course. I was over the moon. And then I bought Johnny Forfeng. I don't know if you heard about him.
No, I haven't.
I think he rode for Glasgow or for a Scottish team anyway.
Yeah.
But he's not gonna. I think he had hurt himself. Mm. And his bike was for sale, and that was a proper Java. It was a bit worn, but it was a proper speedway bike.
All right.
So I borrowed some money from my dad, and I got that bike, and I went over in a horrible boat, you know. Yeah, because that boat is a story on its own, you know, because it's like a bad top. It was rolling. You got seasick when it was by the quay, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
And we had a storm. We had a storm going over to England, and I was so sick. I was sort of hanging on into my bed, you know, and you heard all the noise from the kitchen things falling over, and there was smelling vomit on the ship. And when we came to Newcastle, we docked at Newcastle. I was sort of green in my face, you know, because I was, you know, you had doing so much vomiting and stuff. And there was sort of a crowd at the quay, you know, when you walk off. And I thought that's a lot of people standing waiting for whatever.
Yeah.
And it was called Newcastle supporters.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And then it was brilliant. Yeah, but I was not all that. So they took me to a sort of I don't know, a hall. The stage, and Ian Hoskins, he put me up on the stage, and he gave me a microphone, and he pushed me out, and he said, say something word to the supporters. But my English was less than bad. It was not very much at all. So Ian rescued me after a minute or two, and sort of so that was the beginning.
Yeah, that's great to hear, because obviously, like you said, Newcastle being the first club that you went to, like a host of Scandinavian riders went there. Obviously, Ollie went there. I think even Michnik went there. I think, if I'm right at the top of my head.
Well, he was in my team. You know, we had Anders Michenek from Sweden. This was a way to learn English, wasn't it? Anders Michenek from Sweden, Jeff Curtis from Australia.
Yeah.
George Hunter from Scotland.
Yep.
And you know George Hunter, he spoke Scottish. That it's very different with the way the Scots speak. But I couldn't understand a single thing he said.
Yeah.
You know, it was and Mike Watkin, Ross Dent, and Dave Gifford. Dave Gifford was also from Australia, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a lineup in itself, you know, to sort of say that, you know, those guys there and everything. Of course, a lot of those guys followed you, or you all went together, sort of like to Reading in a few years' time and things like that. So, you know, that sort of little nucleus of a group was good to have in the early days of England.
Well, we were the same group because Newcastle was closed down by some reason, and the whole team was moved to Reading. Reading had used to be second division, but they moved up to first division, and like Dickie May, he was the only one, I think, from the old Division 2 that moved up with us. So yeah.
Yeah, because obviously then that was the team. You were at Tilehurst, weren't you? Then with Reading, that's the first stadium you were at.
That's right, Tilehurst. That's what it's called.
Yeah, was that sort of track that suited you then?
Yeah. No, not Newcastle as much because I found that a bit difficult. It was a bit long straights and very, very short corners, and I must just tell you one thing from Newcastle. This was my very first race, and it was against Monarchs. The Monarchs is that
Edinburgh. Yeah, you against Edinburgh.
Monarchs. Yeah, and Charlie Monk. You heard about Charlie Monk? Yeah. And this was the very first race, very first heat. And I came from the back, and I think Charlie Monk was number 2, and I was number 3. And I got more speed out of the corner. I was going to pass him on the outside because you could do that in Norway. And when I come beside Charlie Monk, he just moved over to me. I went to the fence big time, bang, bang, crash. Yeah, that could have gone very bad. But then I had the broken bike, and I thought, how is this going to end? Start like that, and I have no money and all that. So, but Ian Huskins helped me with a new frame and stuff. So, but it was a very hard learning curve.
Yeah, I can imagine so, because obviously comparing the British League as it was then to what it is now, it was completely different. Obviously, all the riders were a lot harder and a lot tougher, and of course the tracks were a lot deeper and things like that. So, and obviously, but then again, being in the north, it's kind of probably similar weather conditions to what it's in Norway, and maybe like that, like cold sometimes and a bit wet, So it might have been sort of like a little bit home away from home type of thing.
Yeah, the weather wasn't too different, no. but I think that put me back, because really my first season with Newcastle, I was lucky to given the chance to have another year, because my average wasn't, I don't know, it's 4 or something, and I think that the main reason it was so bad, that is Charlie Monk. He really scared me. I was young then. I was on my own in England, not speaking much English, and I felt really, it hit me hard. That bloody hell, is it this tough? I didn't expect that.
No, I can imagine that. And obviously, like you said, on your own. I mean, that's kind of like the worst case scenario, really, because you really could have someone. You need to have someone by your side to sort of say, well, okay, we need to try this, try that, and do this and do that sort of thing. But that probably made you into the better rider that you became later on, because obviously you managed to stand on your own 2 feet and then obviously progress in your career pretty well.
Yeah, actually, I think like I said, I was on my own, but Øyvind Berg, he was a Norwegian rider riding for Scotland, for Glasgow, Hampton Park, I think, and he came down afterwards and sort of was what can I say, a moral support.
Yeah, moral support.
Sort of. So I'm very happy that I never got to thank him really for that, because I think that was very good that he came down and sort of said, told me that Charlie Monk was used to, known for be a hard rider, and everybody's not like that, and go on, So that was very good of Øyvind, but it certainly set me back, because I got too careful. At first, I shouldn't have been that. So, but anyway. Yeah, but it was great to move to Reading and Tilehurst. I love that track. Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously that's when you started obviously making a huge leap forwards and things like that with Reading. And was it with Reg Fearman was your promoter, and then you had Anders there, you had Jeff there, and a host of other riders who came into the team then during that time, because obviously you spent was it 3 seasons there from 71 to 73? Yeah, which included that last year winning the league championship. So
I remember that. That was great. Yeah, that was really great. That it's to me, I was so happy, especially for being selected to come to Reading after 1 year with Newcastle. So to me, the team riding, to do well for the team, so the team should do well. Yeah. That became more important to me than individual meeting or promote myself. I was so scared of doing bad for my team, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
I wanted to score points. I wanted to go on and looked at the program and we were behind or something. And so I was really, and if I had a bad night, it really hit me hard. It's, but there wasn't a lot of bad nights after Newcastle. It went quite well after that.
Yeah, and like I said, because obviously the same guys around you from the previous year, pretty much. And I say moving into probably a fresh new challenge for everybody at the club. Obviously, like I said, Reading came up from Division 2 into the First Division, not really probably expecting to do much. But then, as the riders got well with everyone, the success followed. Because in '72, the club won the Spring Gold Cup. You won that. It's the first sort of major silverware in the British League. So even then, that's obviously a good start for the club.
Yeah. Absolutely. So that was good times.
Yeah,
but I was a bit affected with not to go on about crash with Charlie Monk, but in 79, before I went to England, I was in a long track meeting in Oslo, and I don't know if I can call him a friend, but I knew him very well, and he lives close to our town. He got killed.
Okay.
And that I was 18 years old, and that sort of made me think a little bit. And then Sven Harald Kaasa, Norwegian, that I also knew, he came over from Norway to ride for Glasgow, Hampden Park, and he got killed in 72.
Yeah.
And then Jeff Curtis, that had been a teammate with Newcastle and all the years in Reading, he got killed in Australia. So I was a bit aware of, because some told me that you could try a bit harder, Dag, you could try a bit harder, but it was a bit on the back mind, and I also I can get back to that later on, but I had some very bad crashes that could have gone very, very wrong. So yeah, and when we're on the bad things, it's like at Oxford, now at Wolverhampton in 75. That was actually, Wolverhampton was my favorite track. I beat Olsen a few times around there, and I was standing by the fence, talking to Gary Peterson, and him and us was going out for a race, and the race was flagged red, and I had this terrible feeling straight away, and of course he died there as well. So it was a bit. It's so much better now, I think, with the air fence, because, like I said, speed is not dangerous. Speed is not dangerous at all. It is a sudden stop.
Yes, yeah.
That is dangerous. And with the fence, with the light poles and stuff, that was around the track all the way. So yeah.
Yeah, because obviously during your time in what I would call like the golden age of Speedway during the 70s and things like that, the safety aspect was very sceptical, I must admit. Because I think I've seen like a photo from Oxford when it was that photo of John Davis where he went through the fence and he's hit hit the post the other side. He hasn't hit it, but the bike hasn't it, and that post has fallen over, and it's like, you don't realise until you see photos like that how close these things were. I mean, obviously, in my time, that's all changed. All health and safety's all kicked in and whatnot. But obviously, from the DVDs I see of the 70s, and obviously how tracks were and how tracks are now, it's a completely different thing. And like you said, the air fences now. I mean, imagine having the air fences back in your day, and things like that, or even fences that just collapsed and broke away like they did at Wimbledon and places like that. Some of these accidents may not have actually happened.
It's I just answered on Facebook on a little thing about Exeter, because there was a bit of a thing about Malcolm Simmons never turned up at Exeter, and people tend to have a breakdown on their car going down there and get lost and die sudden flu and all sorts of stuff. but I always race there. But I can understand it so well, because when how can I say it? When you're in good shape, good form, everything you feel like you could have more horsepower in the bike, you could have more speed. Everything feels easy actually, and you're winning, and you think maybe why are the other ones going so slow? You're not thinking that why am I going so fast? So, but when you have a bad day, and you come to a track that scares you a bit, it feels like you have 200 horsepower too much in the bike, and if you feel like you're going 100 miles an hour instead of 40.
Yeah.
And at Exeter, when you come out of the corner and you go down the straight, and all you see at Exeter is a white painted steel wall, because that is what you see.
Yeah.
Because you know the fence around Exeter, white steel.
Yeah.
And on the distance, it looks just like a wall, and you're going flat out down to try to miss that wall. It scares the shit out of you.
Yeah, it does.
So I think that for Exeters and for the home riders, I think it is good because they get used to it. But when you are there only once a year, it's you don't get the time to get used to it. It's just bloody scary.
Yeah, of course you're going down the straight, and Exeter, from the videos I've seen, you're going like that down the straight, and coming into the corner. You think, hopefully I get around the corner. But obviously when you had the likes of Major and people like that there, you think, shit, you got Exeter steel fence, and you've got Ivan, and you've got Scott Autry. You think, bloody hell, how am I going to get out of this one?
yeah, that's right. Yeah. So maybe it's best to consider a car breakdown.
yeah. My wheel fell off on the way. It just went straight past me, mate. Things like that. But yeah, was that sort of obviously, like you said, the accidents with your friends and everything, unfortunately, obviously plays in the back of your mind. So when you went to somewhere like Exeter, or maybe somewhere like a Hackney or somewhere like that, did that sort of then play on your mind a lot then when you went up to the track?
Yeah, it did. Like I said, that you feel you have too much power in the bike and it's going too fast and all that, and it's all in your mind because you're a bit scared. But in another thing, like for me, it was never an option not to race there, because, like I said before, I was so concerned about our team doing well. So and also I was also very, very keen to always have a +10 average, and you can't sort of screw up. You just have to knock yourself and say, you'll be all right. It's just to turn it on and you can do this. You have to. But I had to work mentally quite hard before racing at Exeter, and also Newport wasn't one of my favorite tracks, even though I did very well at Oxford. No, at Newport, but that was also a scary track, and I had a very bad crash there as well once. Okay. But I guest tried for them once, and I was asked again because I did well as a guest there, or I did well around there, and I said, no, thank you. I'm sorry, your track is too scary.
Yeah, because I've got the retro DVDs. I have a huge collection of what Tony done with Rose, and people said, I think Newport was quite square. It's quite a square track, and things like that. It was a bit like a Newcastle. I think it was like long straights, but very, very square sort of course, because it was around the outside of a football pitch, if I remember rightly, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, you mean Newport?
Newport, yeah.
It was a bit like that, and also like it's a fence that's coming up to you very quickly.
Okay.
When you go down, and you put the pocket, you drift out, and you don't have a lot to go on the fence, and you're a bit worried that if I sort of hit the fence and the bike hits out again, and someone will run over you.
Yeah. Just unfortunately, if you hit the fence, he spits you back out again, sort of thing. Yeah.
I must tell you an episode at the Newport. That was Rider.
Yeah,
we call him Rider. I know. Yeah. He was a character, and he was the best Norwegian before I started to do well and starting to go to higher average and beating him and so on. And Newport was his home track, and. He came to me and he said, if you try to beat me here, I'm going to make sure you go through the fence. So thank you, Ryder. but it didn't scare me. I got more like angry. I'm gonna just leave him behind, kind of thing. So when it was us two together, I made the gate and I was in front, and suddenly, bing bang, I was hit from the back, and big crash, like I said. And I think I landed in the over the fence and in the concrete among the crowd. And I hurt my back very, very bad. And I still have problems with that back. And the people that I didn't know what hit me, it's suddenly bang, and people that had watched it came and told me that he was like you call it torpedo?
Yeah, torpedoes. Yeah.
Yeah, he was sort of going flat out straight in, not thinking of taking the corner, just managed to hit my bike. This was because so he really did what he said he was going to do.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Yeah, oh dear, yeah.
Yeah. But that obviously proves that there's like a little bit of a rivalry there already, like one Norwegian not trying to beat the other Norwegian sort of thing.
Yeah, big rivalry, yeah.
Yeah, but in 73 you were actually paired with Ryder for the World Pairs final in 73. So you can't have been all too bad.
No, it was we wasn't good friends, but we were picked out together. But there again, I was. I think if I had written with someone that was friendly towards me, I think we would have done much better. But we was, like I said, I was more into the league matches. When it came to these things, I didn't mind so much. I wasn't going to, So, and the rivalry on the track with Ryder and me riding pairs, but because he was more interested in beating me than doing well for the... So, actually, I regret that I didn't put more effort into meetings like that, because to me it was like a day off. Not really, but I didn't feel any pressure. No.
Yeah, whereas if you're riding for someone like Reading, you felt like you had to be the number one sort of thing with your 10-point average and then perform well for the team, because like you said, the team
actually I was number two because Anders was there. He had 11.5 average. So
there's always someone better.
Yeah, but that was the reason I wanted to leave Reading, because I felt like I was overshadowed by Anders. I wasn't jealous, but I knew people said to me, "You'll be on number one on nearly all other teams except from Reading." So I thought it was the time to move.
Yeah, obviously that was the same time that Tilehurst Stadium got closed down as well in 73. Because
but we didn't know that that was during the winter time. We didn't know that at 73 in the season when we was racing. We didn't know that.
Oh, okay.
Now, as I can remember it, maybe I remember wrong, but I was said that this is my last season. I want to move. I want to go, and I wanted to go. My favorite track has always been Wolverhampton, the track to race. But I also liked Coventry, and I also liked Oxford. And why I ended up at Hackney, which was good. Well, it was good, but it was they wouldn't let me go to the tracks I wanted to go to. I think Reg Fairman was a bit upset with me, wanted to leave. So they didn't let me go to one of the tracks I wanted to go to. So they sent me to Hackney, and that was fine for me. Len Silver was, brilliant man, and Barry Thomas and great guys, great team. Bert, I think the mechanic that is well. He took over me, for he had been Bengt Jansen's mechanics. So I loved it at Hackney as well. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, and I can also imagine riding in London as well. You know, it was a big thing for yourself. You know, saying that you're in the capital, you're riding there every week, you know, and things like that. You know, probably progressing towards that number one goal that you wanted to be top of the averages and things like that. So yeah, again, like I said, with obviously winning the championship in '73, probably the team was going to get broken up anyway from Reading, whether Tulhurst was going to get closed down or not. So, you know, fortunately, your stars sort of lined up for you to go to Hackney and then probably be number one there.
Yeah. That was brilliant. And the guys at Hackney, they took me well towards me. And like you said to me, you know, being in London, now being in England, fantastic. I love England. I still do. I bloody love your country. But to London, my God, you know, it is like a fairy tale. And I lived in Neathwood, just north of Bristol.
Yep.
And I traveled, and Len Silver said, "Why don't you move to London?" I said, "No, I love driving through London every day, you know, going through Trafalgar Square and, you know, the Piccadilly Circus and all that, and past the Tower of London." And to me, it was, you know, so I love that drive to the track every day, even if it's a long drive. And, but the traffic was not bad then, you know.
No, compared to what it is nowadays, it's completely different. but like you said, it's like it's probably like that pinch me sort of moment where you're thinking, I'm actually riding in London. I'm going past, like you said, Trafalgar Square and things like that. You know, you're thinking, oh, I'm being a tourist and a Speedway rider, and I'm loving my job at the same time. You know, but maybe Len Silver actually wanted you to move to London to save him a bit of money. Really, that's what it probably was.
Yeah, well, he didn't push me very hard, but you know, because I lived on a farm with, and I love, you know, I had a horse over there and a trial spike that I used and stuff. So I liked it on the country side.
Yeah. So, probably been able to just switch off from Speedway when you needed to switch off and just like relax and stuff like that. Also, probably helped.
Yeah. Yes. Really.
But obviously, '74 was a good year for yourself because you managed to make your first world final. So that must have been good.
Yeah, it was very good. But I don't know how to explain this, you know, with the European final. I have to tell you about the European final.
Yep.
Because I remember I won my first heat, and I had, you know, Colin Pratt. You know Colin Pratt?
Yep.
Yeah, he took me to. He came with me to Wembley. Because I told him that, you know, I wish it was somewhere else than Wembley. I have problems with that track. I don't know why. I have problems getting around it. And it's such a famous track. And it's a track I really, really want to do well on because, you know, I had a picture on my wall of in Norway of Wembley, you know, with Ivan around Wembley. And he gave me some advice and stuff. And so I won my first race. And I got the third in the second one, and I was leading the third one, and suddenly I hit the bump or some dirt, and the bike just lifted on the straight up, and I went to the fence big time. You know, because I didn't let go of the bike. I followed the bike because I was European final. I want to finish. I tried to knock off the gas and stay on the bike, and I went bang into the fence. And hurt myself. I was, you know, dizzy, and my bike was broken, but I had a spare bike there. And I remember Ole Olsen came over to me and said, you know, like if I was on a stretcher, I can't remember. Anyway, I remember he came and he said, "Oh, really sorry, Doug. You deserve to come to the world final. Very, very sorry that this happened to you." So anyway, it was a race of two between, and it was me again. And I was really shaken, and then it started to rain. And I don't know if you know this or I've heard about this, but when it was raining, I can't remember losing one single race on the slick rain. And this is because the ice training with that we had with the studs, you know. I'm quite sure that has to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, because I think I've seen footage of you actually when you're talking about that. I think I've seen a bit of footage from retro when you've, like you said, you stood it up and you've crashed and everything. I think when you're saying, I think I've seen that somewhere. I'm pretty sure I have, but it was quite, like I said, it was quite a big crash and obviously knocked the stuffing out of you completely.
I haven't seen any pictures or anything of it, but I remember it very well. But then I was, not really there when I was pushed out. If it was today or in Norway, the doctor would never have let me out again, but never mind. I went out again. I remember I had gate 4 and it had started to rain, and it was Ollie Olsen and hang on, it was Ollie Olsen. I can't remember who the two other. Anyway, I was last out of the gate, but it started to rain and the track got slick, and I just passed them all, and I won the last race. And Ollie Olsen, if Ollie Olsen needed to win the last race, he would be European champion. So he wasn't all that pleased, I think, that I beat him. So I won and I qualified for the world final by winning the last race. And how I did it, I don't know. But when it was raining and slick, I found it very, very easy always. But coming from the back at Wembley in the world final, no European final, that's not bad. So and I remember Peter Collins was so happy. He came in, yeah, because then he got the runoff with Ollie Olsen, and I made sure for the final. So and Peter Collins won the runoff. So
yeah. I mean, that's good because obviously I've got the notes here that you're saying you finished on 7 points and finished 8th, which managed to make you qualify for the world final from the European final. So yeah, I mean, obviously a great achievement for yourself. It's still in such a short space of time in your British career, you've managed to make your first world final.
Yeah. It was. I was very pleased with that. But then when it came to the world final, that was a sad story because we did the practice. I remember what 2 or 2 practicing, and I practiced with Ivan, and the track suited me. I've never been there before. It suited me perfect. And it went quick around there, so I had no problem. This I was looking forward to that. And that was a day before, and then it started to rain, and rain. And people came to see me that know me, that I was being called the Rain Man, because like I told you, they said, this is your day, bloody hell. This is going to suit you like shit. And my nerves crawled up to me like nothing else. But what they did, instead of letting it just rain and leave it, they got hold of a big jet engine on 4 wheels. Have you heard about it?
Yeah, I've seen a video of that as well. That's quite funny.
And with a helicopter after it.
Oh no, not seen the helicopter. I've only seen the jet engine. I've never seen the helicopter. No.
But over the jet engine, it was a helicopter.
Oh, was it? Oh, right. Yeah. I didn't realise.
And that blew the pressure blew the hot flames down to the track. So what happened was that the track the day after, when it was raining, it wasn't slick at all. It was very, very deep and heavy and horrible. Not to my liking at all.
Oh, right, okay.
And then I was the only one riding the Java with the carburetor.
Was it the side mount carburetor you had?
What's the name? English carburetor. Everybody using the Lorto with the
I can't remember what it's
called. Amal or something. Yeah. And that had just a float chamber underneath it, and that worked fine in England and slick tracks and stuff. But I couldn't understand what's happening because my bike it went through the and started misfiring. And I found out in every race it was misfiring, and I didn't like the deep track anyway, but it didn't go at all. And I couldn't work out what it was. And I found out afterwards that the track was so heavy, so the engine wanted more fuel, and the float chamber was too small, so it sucked up all the fuel, and it came air bubbles in it. So So this caused the missing. So I was very disappointed with the World Final, but that's how it is.
Yeah, it is. I've actually got a bit of footage from the World Final because I did a bit when I was doing my research and everything. It's basically your first rides because the ITV coverage then only showed 2 of your rides and it didn't show the ride that you won, which I'm very disappointed about. But it shows your very first race, which is against.
I made the gate. I remember.
Yeah, you did make the start. I will give you that. You did make the start. All right, if I just get this to blow up full screen. Yeah, it's on YouTube. You're on gate number 4 on this one. I got a nice easy race against Michenek and Ollie Olsen, and things like that. So just talk us through what you sort of remember your first race and things like that, because everyone likes to hear these sort of things.
Yeah, well, I wasn't particularly nervous or anything because I made the gate. I remember that.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you made there you go. Look, making a right ripper start.
Came from the outside in, and here the bike started missing, and Ollie Olsen pushing me a bit out, and the Stichenek passed him on the inside, and that's all I can remember.
Yeah.
And the bike go.
Oh right. So yeah. Because obviously, like you say, Michenek and Olsen started putting lengths on you and things like that. But you can see how wet and how deep the track was, and things like that. I mean, obviously, looking back at the '77 World Final when it was like a lake, this is the complete opposite when it was wet. It looks like they put more dirt on it more than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, you got filled in on the third and fourth corner there, unfortunately. But you managed to get third in your opening race, which isn't too bad, I suppose. But as they say, from what everyone was saying, it should have been your day. It was unfortunate that the mechanical gremlins got the better of it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I wish. I wonder what would. No, it's no use in wondering. But if they hadn't done this to it, just left it as it was, I think it would be a different story. And with the bike missing like hell as well.
Yeah, because like you managed to get the third place and just hang on to it. But obviously, it was obviously nice to get to the World Final and obviously get the old hairs in the back of your neck sort of thing going. But I mean, did that sort of then inspire you to try and make more World Finals?
No, not really. It's one of the things I really regret, and that is that it wasn't that important to me. I don't know now. I think it is bloody stupid. It was to me. It was I was brought into heaven. That is England, and the team is so kind to me that wanted me to ride for them. Big obligation. I felt a very big obligation to do well for my team. And the other open meetings and stuff, I was a bit more scared of hurting myself, so I couldn't race the next league meeting. So I don't know really why I was thinking today I would be more selfish.
Yeah, I mean, you sound like to me that you were more like thinking about the team, no matter whatever it was always the team. I was second, the team was first, type of thing. Yeah.
Do well for the team. Yeah, and I think also it had to do with that being overshadowed by Anders. Anders did so well as a number one. I wanted to. I was the number one. Biggest pressure on number one. He must score points. So yeah.
Did you react well under pressure then when it came to those like crunch heat 13s where you needed a 5-1 or 4-2 to win, things like that? Was you good under pressure?
In league matches, yes, but open meeting, no, because it was also the things that I fell a bit apart mentally when it came to big meetings, because when I know that I meet only Major once and Olsen once and at that big meeting and Terry Betts or Michael Lee and that guy, I could do that. But when they were all at the starting gate, and they all in the program, and the extra atmosphere like it's in the European finals and stuff like that, and all kind of finals. It's I felt very alone, I felt because it was only me from Norway, and if Ryder was there, it was not man I wanted to. But he was. I can't remember. He was in any of the big ones. But no, so that I'm sure I would have had great effect of having a shrink, like a sports shrink.
Yeah, psychologist type of person, yeah.
Which is very much into, like in Norway, it's skiing is a big thing, and they have these sports shrinks that, giving the confidence into. And I was, when I come to meetings like that, I was starting not believing in myself. I mean, if I had somebody that had pushed me at, you can do that, you've been there before, this will be. But I didn't manage to tell myself that. I said, oh my God, they're going to beat me.
Always sort of think about the worst case scenario, unfortunately, rather than focus on the positives. Yeah. But obviously, also 74 was a good year for you as well, because you managed to retain your Norwegian Championship that you won in 73. So you managed to do back-to-back in Norwegian Championships. That must have been pretty good for yourself.
Yeah, but there again, it wasn't important to me. I can tell you in 75, I risked losing my license for not turning up at the Norwegian Championship.
Oh, okay.
Because Oxford was sort of leading the Midlands Cup, and they had never won anything lately. So we could win so to me it was more important for Oxford to win the Midlands Cup, and then for me to win the Norwegian Championship, which, to be honest, I in 75 I should have done. It's So, but like I said to you earlier on, I regret it a bit now. I was a bit too conscious about my team.
Yeah,
and also and when you're the receptions I got at both Hackney and Oxford, that they were so happy that I came to them, and all this, and you feel. I will try to do well for you.
Yeah. When the fans come to you and warm to you, sort of thing, you think, I feel at home here. This is where I belong, sort of thing. You don't want to let them down. But it's obviously that's great to hear that both the Hackney and the Oxford fans, I'm sure even with the Reading fans, they all really appreciate everything that you did for them at the club level.
Yeah, and that is one thing that has surprised me a bit, because like when Reading came to Oxford. And I beat Anders Mashenek, yes. That was big for me. But I felt also what the Reading supporters going to say. Do they feel that I've been what do you call it, traitor or
a traitor sort of thing? Yeah. Because you've got away from them.
Yeah. So, but no, they've been good. And I don't know if you heard that. I was in England in 2018, and Keith Lawson, that was track photographer at Oxford. I had some contact with him through Facebook and sort of, and he told me once that if you come to England, you must let me know. So I said, well, yeah, we're renting a camper van. No, not a camper van. What do you call it? The mobile home?
Mobile home, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're going to travel around England and Scotland for 3 weeks. So, then you must come to Oxford. And then it was a man called Barry Cross. Do you know him?
Yep. Yeah, I know Barry Cross, yep.
Brilliant man, Him and Keith, they sort of organized on internet that some crowd would come and see me. So I came with a mobile home and at the campsite, and Barry picked me up and took me to the track, and there was quite a lot of supporters and even BBC radio came and interviewed me, and then they took me to a pub, and the pub was full of big pictures of me and the big sign outside, welcome Dag Lovaas. And I was, it was, I saw the interview that they said a tearful Dag, but I wasn't, there was no tears, but I said it's very emotional for me. it was very emotional, but I didn't cry.
That's the important thing. You didn't cry.
No, but the headliner was quite tearful, Dag. But it was, I said, it was very emotional for me, and I shall never forget it. Fantastic that the supporters and fans did this for me, and they had even a menu like have that here. A Speedway menu with the price, with the prices from back to 70.
Oh, cool! That's good. That's cool. I like that. That's very cool.
Yeah, so that was why I told you about that. That was even some Reading supporters came up.
Oh, okay, so that's cool.
So that shows that they're not angry with me for moving.
No, I think they had more pressing things to worry about, like their stadium closing down, then moving into Smallmead in '75. That might have been a bit of a distraction, but obviously, I have to say, we must talk about a bit about Oxford and things like that now, because obviously in '75 you moved from Hackney to Oxford, which obviously, from the way you're talking, was the best career move you could make. Really, got into sign for the Rebels and things like that at that time. Was that so? How did that move come about then? Did you get promoted? Did you get called up, or did you put a transfer request in, or what happened?
Actually, after I told Reading or Fairman that I didn't want to, I wanted to move. There was a big, let's call it a silly season. I say that?
Yeah, silly season,
Because there was, I moved to Norway, and it was a lot of telephone calls and stuff, and from different types. So what I did, I took my wife and me, we took the car and bikes and drove to Paris and spent time in Paris. And the only person that knew where I was Bob Radford. You heard about him, or him?
Bob Radford. Yep.
Yeah, he was a friend of mine. So he knew. So he contacted me and sort of was the man between, in a way. So what happened was that because Fairman said to me, "Well, if you don't want to ride for me, you're not riding in England." So I said, "Well, okay then." So I thought that won't happen. So then I didn't get. I was asked which bike tracks I would like to ride for, and if I remember right, it was something about maybe I could go to Wolverhampton because Ollie Olsen wanted to move.
Yeah.
So, but never mind. That never happened. But what happened was that I was lent to. I had to ride for Hackney for 1 year before I could go to Oxford. So I said that's fine for me. I didn't really care where I ended up as long as I could get away from being behind the Michanek all the time.
Yeah.
It wouldn't help me to send me where Major was, or even to Wolverhampton if Olsen was there. But I had a fair chance against Olsen because I was always very fast around Wolverhampton. So yeah, and I know there was quite a few of Wolverhampton fans that wanted me to come because I got contacted from several supporters and stuff, and come to us,
yeah, please come, we want you here, sort of thing. Which is nice to have. So obviously say that a rival club supporters want you there, it means that how much in demand you were.
Well, everybody, isn't it very nice to be wanted?
Oh yeah, very much so.
Everybody thinks that. When people say, "Oh, it's great to see you," even if it's on the birthday, it's nice to be wanted. Yes, but I was. They seemed to be happy with me at Hackney. That worked out fine, and they were happy to have me at Oxford. So that was fine. Shame that Oxford was only for 1 year. That was really sad.
Yeah, because obviously after having a successful year at Oxford, promotion, then decided to move it over to White City, which obviously then White City would stay in the British League for 3 seasons. You were there for the first year, in '76. How was that then? Was that a surprise move to hear that Oxford is basically uprooted and going to London?
Yeah, it was a big surprise to me. It's a bit sad in a way, but it was after Oxford season. I started to build my house in the winter months, and that was because I still live in that house. It's where I live now, and it's on top of a mountain with a view over the fjord, so it's
cool.
very nicely located. So I was very keen. It was in the back of my mind all the time in England, that the house, and I think that was yeah. But anyway, at the end of '75, I had always been curious to try a Jap.
Okay.
Everybody was riding Javas and Westlakes and all sort of, and everybody I spoke to said that a Jap, you're an idiot, they're too slow there. That's yesterday's stuff. So anyway, I can't remember. I mean, George Greenwood.
Yep, George Greenwood. Yeah, another name.
Yeah. I can't remember if he gave me a Jap engine or I had to pay something for it. I think that is
bit hazy, that memory.
yeah. Anyway, I got the Jap engine for sure. If anybody paid for it, I can't remember. And I put that in my Java frame, and I took it to Mike Keane's. Not testimonial, but what do you call it?
Benefit meeting?
Yeah, that's right. At Swindon.
Yeah.
At Swindon. And I had 15 points maximum, beating Martin Ashby from the back on the Jap. It suited me like a glove in a hand.
Yeah.
And I did so well with the Jap at the end of the season. It was yeah. So for the White City season, I had sold my Westlake and Java and had 2 brand new Japs installed. But what happened was that that year it came. You had to have a silencer.
Oh yes, yep.
Yeah. And I can't understand it. I'm a bit technical with engines. I know a bit about engines. But the bike just didn't want to go with it went, but it lost that little bit of too much power because it's low on power anyway, the Jap. But it took away that little bit, so it was too slow. And I didn't want to give it up. I tried it, and I think Bobby Dugard and Danny Dunton, that was a promoter, was a bit, because this is going the wrong way. Now it's just small adjustments, I said. And then I remember they didn't say that you have to get rid of them. I can't remember how long I was struggling with these Japs before. Danny Dunton came with a Westlake engine that had bought it for Brian Clark.
Yep.
You know Brian Clark?
Yeah, Brian Clark. Yeah, another name.
Yeah, very nice man. I remember, and I put that in my bike, and we went up to where Terry Betts and
King's Lynn.
King's Lynn.
Yeah.
Went up to King's Lynn with this Westlake engine in my bike, and I scored. I was put in extra heat, so I scored 15-point maximum on it, and beating Michael Lee twice, and they had a very strong team. At least the top 3 riders with Simo, Betsy, and Terry Betts and Simo and Michael Lee. So that was it. That was the end of the Jap. But it was too late because I had messed up my averages. So yeah, and I think also in the back of my mind, the house thing was a big thing for me, and also that I had a very big crash at Ray Wilson's home track, Leicester.
Leicester,
yeah. And actually, sounds stupid, but I was sure I was going to die because down the straight, Ray Wilson was in front and I was after him, and he sort of looked behind to see where I was, and he miscalculated, so his bike went a bit to the right, and he footrest hooked the wire fence, and suddenly his bike stops. And it didn't only stop down, but it stopped in the height of my face, and I came, and I can already remember that, and I remember, well, that's it, finito, and it all went black for a long time, and when I woke up, there was people. I was in a small hospital thingy with people walking around me, talking a language I didn't understand. They spoke English, but to me, I couldn't remember I was in England. I was really, but I was very lucky that because that could really have been the end. So that compared with the house building and the problem with the Jap and the White City track that wasn't really, I didn't really get the hang of it. It was nothing wrong with the track. It was just not my favorite, to say it that way. So I decided that no, I'll build my house and I start a motorcycle business when I come home, which I did.
Yeah, I mean, that's very interesting to hear that you went sort of backwards with the Jap engine more than anything, and that's very, very interesting because, like you said, that's the time when the Wesleys were just coming out, and obviously the Jaguars were still dominant and stuff like that. But like I say, it's interesting to hear because obviously, like you said, the silencer came in, and obviously the silencers we have now are completely different to what you guys ran back then. But obviously, like you said, because before then you had a straight through pipe, didn't you? Pretty much nothing stopping it. So obviously, like you said, the power band has changed and things like that. That's very, very interesting to hear because I never knew that. I'm a fan of White City, and I've read lots of things and stuff like that about White City. Because obviously the White City interests me is the Eastbourne connection because my local club's Eastbourne. Of course, Bob Dugard and Danny Dutton were part of Eastbourne as well as White City and things like that. So yeah, it's very, very interesting to hear that because obviously at the time I think was Pete Jarman doing the track, and he was notoriously known for doing riding the Jap still in the National League back in those days as well for Eastbourne. So maybe you two had a little secret you had up your sleeves, really.
But it was nothing wrong with White City track. There was nothing wrong with the track. But was why I didn't give up the Jap with the silencer straight away is that the silencer we had that time, you could look through it. It was the same diameter as on the tube.
Okay,
it was just straight through, but it was penetrated holes inside.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean? So you could look through it. So it made no sense. It made absolutely no sense why it should take away that little bit of power that made it too slow. And of course, White City was a bigger track than the other ones. But I quite liked the track, to race it. But I wasn't fast enough around there. But I think I would have been if I had given it, got to Westlake a bit quicker and given it a bit more of a chance. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, again, it's a good thing to say. Look back in hindsight with that sort of thing. Yeah, I should have really stuck with what everyone else was sticking with and things like that. But you gave it a go and everything. Like I said, unfortunately, that crash with Ray Wilson very much put the writing on the wall for your racing career, unfortunately, because obviously in '76 you never returned back to the UK, never returned to White City, but White City ran rider replacement for you all season and won the league.
And I didn't know that. I didn't know that before years afterwards that was in the program.
that was very interesting because obviously when I first ever knew about that sort of thing, I thought, how the hell did they get away with that for a whole season? Things like that. You would never get that anymore, but they obviously, things like that. So I was under the impression that you originally signed for them again in '76, and then all of a sudden you said, no, don't want to do it, I'm going home, sort of thing. That's what I originally thought.
Well, I told them that in the beginning of the season that this will be my last season. I told them that because I had started to think like I had lost too many friends, and that crash in particular, that I thought that this is it. I found out that it can actually happen to me. And is it worth it? It's great fun. And I was one of the one talking about the security on the tracks to put a finger on it, that you should do something with the especially the fence, a fence and the light poles that are sticking out, and if you hit it, if you're unlucky, you hit it, it is bang, it's over. You don't need to have 100 miles an hour. You can do it in 10 if you break your neck and stuff. So and my back, that when Ryder drove me off the track, the doctor looked at it, said no, it's probably nothing, and then after the year I had the X-ray, and it's actually was broken a bit in the back, and I raced the rest of the season still keeping in 10-point average with it. So, but yeah.
It didn't slow you down too much.
Now on my hand, this hand, I love to ride motorcycles, on the road, and I then actually when I come home, finishing in England, I've always been very interested in all kind of motorsport, really. So at the same time, when I built the house, I bought a Formula Ford just to try four-wheel racing, and I did a bit of that in Sweden, not very much, but sold that one, and then I did a bit of motocross and trials and road racing.
Yeah, road racing. That's good to see in the background. Yeah.
Yeah, Ducati. That was when I got the import a bit of Ducati motorcycles from Norway, and I had dealers around, and so I think that I see Scott Altery has. He's very good in his small stories he has in Facebook. I think he's a very good writer. Yeah. And he says that there's a lot of riders that have problems after stopping racing because it is so special. And to go back to a normal job, it's very they started to drink and stuff. And I can understand that. But with me, with starting a motorcycle shop, that you work, from 24/7 to build it up, and it's exciting and it's fun, and it's also take some stuff out of you, or whatever you call it, and so that saved me because otherwise, if I hadn't started the motorcycle shop, I think I probably would have gone back after a year.
Yeah, with having, like they said, the motorcycle shop, it kept that interest in bikes and that little bit of a buzz going. They're thinking, what's the next sort of stuff coming in and all that sort of thing. Maybe kept you sort of ticking up, kept their mind working really. Because I think a lot of the problems with some of the boys when they stop riding is that they have that, like, I don't know, 10, 15 year plus career. It's like intense, it's intense, and all of a sudden just stop. It's nothing. It's hard to sort of pick yourself up to, like you say, have a normal life. I mean, what was normal life? Obviously, that's going to be different now. But you know what I mean. It's like a case of it's filling that sort of that void of a gap, really.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And doing the working with bikes as I love, and then be able to do some racing, different kind of racing, but still some racing. It's so I didn't have big problems with sort of, but it was, I didn't feel very empty after I didn't.
No, that's good though. It's good to see that you obviously, like you say, you went to different sports, tried it, you dabbled in it. You can say that you've done it, and things like that. So, and you come up with in good health and everything, So that's the main thing at the end of the day. As long as you've got a good health and you've enjoyed yourself, that's the important thing as well.
Yeah, well, that's what I showed you your hand. Good health. That is, I have problems with my gas hand.
Yeah.
And for a long time, and finally I went to get the X-ray because my doctor said it's probably arthritis.
Arthritis, yeah.
Arthritis. I wasn't sure it was, so I said, well, why can't we take a picture of it? Because it's really painful on my riding, and I love riding my bike still. And that turned out that it was years ago. I have broken something inside my hand.
Oh, okay.
And it's you have a lot of bones in your hand.
Yeah.
And one of them has split in two, and that piece has worked itself down, and it's gone through, it's ground through the, what do you call the soft bit?
It'd be like the tendons and that sort of thing, was it, or was it would have been the muscles or things
because
like that?
It's between the joint. You have a pillow.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. I can't. Oh yeah.
When you eat a chicken bone,
that's it. Yeah, that's it. Like a gristly sort of bit, isn't it? And things like that. Yeah. So yeah.
And that the thing has worked itself through and hitting the upper arm.
Oh right.
That was paining, and now he said, it's too complicated to operate because you have so many things done, so you just have to live with it. But there is a few, and my biggest accident actually I had in road racing.
Oh, okay.
Huge accident. Yes, I smashed up my hip, and they were talking about cutting the leg off. It was so bad.
Oh,
so it's it was. But I said no way. Try. So I walk very funny and stuff now. But that was actually from road racing. So I give.
So Speedway wasn't too bad, really, if you think about it that
way. No, and I remember, the crashes I had. Quite big crashes. And I remember the doctor told me, 2 different doctors told me, they said that you have rubber bone. Yeah. Some bones break, but yours are,
You flex really well, put it that way.
I flex very well because you don't believe the colors I have had. Green and blue and yellow and all over.
Yeah, I can't believe it. I can't believe it because when I used to ride things like that, I used to come back sometimes black and blue and falling off and all that sort of thing. So I understand it, mate. Don't worry. But I must wrap it up tonight, Dag. It's been fantastic talking to you tonight, mate. It's been great fun. I mean, I know the first time we missed out, but this time it's been fantastic. I hope you've enjoyed it more than anything, talking about the old days.
I have. So let me know if you want to do it again.
Oh yeah, I'll be in touch for sure. Definitely if you're up for that sort of thing. But I just do me sign off by saying thanks to everyone who's been watching tonight and listening on the podcast. Please go subscribe to the YouTube channel so you get the next episode up to date, and everything else. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and there's loads of other formats we're on. I've got too many to list. But also like us on Facebook. There's 2 groups. There's a private group and there's also an open group as well. But join both, you get both information on it. But thanks tonight, Dag. I mean, it's been great fun having you on here and everything. And is there anything you want to say to anyone before we sign off?
Well, thank you very much. And hello, everybody in East England.
Yeah. Right. Thank you very much tonight, Dag. Appreciate it, mate.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.